just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if they're sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, Bad Weather Fans, episode number 269. I promised you on Twitter 269 would be a doozy, and I was right. Mike Biseglia, Alex Vanessowitz, and we are presented by DraftKings. Alex, I'll ask you, how the hell are you? I'm in a good fucking mood. The Knicks have become a disaster. Cheers to that, everybody. They have fired their head coach. They now are on the lookout for a new head coach. And basically get your resume on LinkedIn, put it out there, put the coaching experience that you have, talk about all the rec leagues you've coached, talk about the little kids you've coached for their bitty basketball, because you could get a job. What the hell are the Knicks doing? This is strange. It's a disaster. And Alex, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, disaster's a little far. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's getting ridiculous. I think they don't have a plan. I think they fired Tibbs for whatever reason you want to believe, whether it was Dolan made the call or the players revolted. Either way, they weren't planning on firing Tibbs, and they did. And now they're scrambling, and they're asking for every single coach that's employed if they can talk to them. And of course, they said no. You know, what I find funny is that between Kidd, Finch, Udoka, Billy Donovan, and Quinn Snyder, three of them played for the Knicks, and Kidd, Udoka, and Billy Donovan. No, maybe there's something to that. Maybe we'll get a once a Knick, always a Knick situation going on here. But no, I'm kidding. But I think that it's embarrassing. I think that they are clearly scrambling by asking all of these teams for permission to talk to employed coaches. I think it makes them look silly. I think that they don't want Johnny Bryant. Otherwise, he'd be the coach already. I think he's way down on their list. I think there's a reason why they didn't want to keep him once they extended Tibbs, or he wanted to go. Once they extended Tibbs, he realized, like, this isn't for me. Maybe they don't like him. Or maybe this is just all a facade and they're really going to get Kidd, because they said, all the reporters have said that this doesn't mean that Kidd's out.
I agree.
You know? So it could just be a smokescreen, you know, kind of a thing. And Donald J. Trump DM'd me right before the podcast and said that to me. And I think he's right as well. So,
but
we'll see.
Even if, for example, it is Kidd, like, okay, I don't know why that's that great. Like, that's the problem to me more than anything. Now, you want to talk about the embarrassment of asking all of these coaches. Like, everybody they have asked is not some sort of significant upgrade from the coach that you had.
Right. It's not now, Popovich, right? Like, it doesn't mean a healthy Popovich, you know.
It doesn't mean like Kidd comes to the Knicks and he makes them better. Maybe they need a fresh voice and it happens. But I think we have to, like, not lose track of all the guys that are being mentioned don't have better track records in the history of their coaching that Tibbs does. Now, Kidd went to a finals. Yes, he does. But there's a lot of things Kidd has done where he was a bad end coach. That to me is like, okay, great, we got Kidd. All right, I mean,
right. You're giving up an asset for him potentially, unless he just quits or whatever.
Great but of a head coach. I mean, it's
he's okay.
That's is fine.
It's real about Jalen Brunson. Does Jalen Brunson like him? Which he does. He coached with it. He coached him already, so he has a relationship. It's all about him, because Jalen Brunson is not only the star player. He gave up $113 million to stay with the team to give them flexibility. And now you fire Tibbs, who's basically like his uncle that grew up with him. Like, he grew up in Chicago with his dad on his staff, and now you fire him, and now it's like, all right, what do you want, Jalen?
Jalen Brunson had to have input to get him fired, or this would never happen.
Right.
It's impossible because you can't tell me they had a players meeting and Josh Hart said it and Mikal Bridges said it, but Jalen didn't, and that had more weight. That is not real. Like, that's not possible. What is possible is that Jalen said, hey, gave the clues what that is, and they decided to go in a different direction without a plan, and now they're stuck here. Clearly, because the firing happened so quickly, it shows that it was just like, oh, I can't. The emotion in that moment of these guys are unhappy with them. We have to make a move, which they did, and now they're stuck. I mean, I think they do have a plan right now. I just think it's a really shitty one. I mean, but there is a plan. The plan is ask NBA coaches if they can be their coach. That's the plan. I mean, we're seeing it in action. Like everybody debating, is there a plan or not? Yes, there's a plan. The plan is look for people who are hired and see if they want to leave and come to their team. Now, I don't know if it's a good plan. Maybe at some point it sticks. I thought Ian Begley made a really good point when he said this on Evan and Tiki, when he was like, if we don't do our due diligence and then we found out that this coach that we wanted would have done it and the team would have, then they're like, oh, you didn't ask that team. So now the Knicks are in this place where it's like, well, we have to ask everybody. And if they don't, they look silly because they missed that guy who said he would have been there. But again, at the same time, these guys aren't as good as coaches as Tibbs is. To me, I'm like, if it isn't Jason Kidd and it doesn't happen, where are they going? And it's kind of a head scratcher on who the next head coach of the Knicks will be, which is just remarkable to be this close to an NBA Finals, which is, by the way, going on right now. We should check the score out of curiosity.
Whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I'm curious.
I'm curious too, but whatever. We'll look at it later.
If it isn't Kidd, who is it?
I hear you. But I think I love Begley. You know, he's a great guy, and I've been on his show and whatever. But I think the whole thing of if we didn't shake the trees to see, you know, who could have been available, will we get killed for that later? But you know what? Like, it's kind of like the Pat Mahomes thing where I wanted to draft Pat Mahomes, but the general manager didn't listen to me. I wanted this guy, and the general manager didn't listen to me. I would have drafted Halliburton over Obi, but the general manager didn't listen to me. Like, okay, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's always
the
people
72
afterwards.
coaches, and the 73rd was the guy that would have said it.
What will it cost for Jordy Fernandez, man? For the Knicks to get Jordy Fernandez from the Nets? What will it cost?
I don't think they're asking for Jordy. I mean, that would be absurd.
I mean they asked for Quinn Snyder, dude. Like, why wouldn't you ask for Jordy? Jordy,
I mean. Ask for Jordy. Yeah, Jordy would laugh in their face.
I also don't understand. You're reaching out to these coaches. Billy Donovan, not a great coach. Great track record, whatever, but he's really not that great of a coach. He's an okay coach. Quinn Snyder, not a great coach. Udoka is a good coach. Kidd is okay. Why not just hire Mike Malone? I mean, I know, you know, he's got his issues, and the favorite quote of everybody, he's Tibbs 2.0. Everybody's Tibbs 2.0. I mean, if you search on Twitter Tibbs 2.0, it's been going on since 2011. Okay, I searched it. People have been saying that about every coach since then. And somehow that's a negative. A coach that wins a lot and wins a lot of playoff series and does a lot is a negative somehow. But Mike Malone started his NBA career as an assistant on the Knicks back in the day. And he was at Manhattan College, I think before that. He's from Queens, won a championship with the Nuggets, developed Jokic. Like, I don't understand what the issue is. If you're willing to hire Quinn Snyder or Billy Donovan, why wouldn't you just hire Mike Malone? I know that people are saying
employed.
Like
he's not employed.
I don't understand. I just don't understand. Like, you can say Mike Malone has his faults and he's just like Tibbs and this, that, and the other thing, and I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I'd rather have Mike Malone than Billy Donovan than Quinn Snyder.
Yeah, Mike Malone, a New York guy. He could handle the New York media easily. He's really good there, and he's won a championship. He can handle talent. Now he got fired.
What about like Sam Cassell, like a hot assistant that's got a big mouth that can handle New York, that played in this area with the Nets? Like, what about him?
I think that route is a safer route, and I know people will say like, well, the Knicks have a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals, so they need a leadership that has experience. I think the idea of experience in the NBA is different than other sports. I don't think it makes sense. We'll talk experience here. I don't think it makes sense to hire somebody like Jay Wright, who has a lot of head coaching experience, but doesn't have NBA experience. To me, Sam Cassell, although he's never been a head coach, has seen anything and everything that's possible in the NBA with egos, with trades, with salaries, has seen everything that you can imagine. And that experience as an assistant coach, to me, in the NBA, gives way more value than anything could anywhere else. So even though Sam isn't a full-time head coach experience, everything he has seen in the NBA in his 10 plus years as an assistant and his 10 plus years in the league makes me believe that he could easily coach in the NBA. You don't need to have like it's not the NFL where you just go all of a sudden like top of the food chain and don't have that experience. Like, this is tough. These guys can
Right.
handle it. It's about managing personalities, and the rest will come. I firmly believe. Now, get into the weeds of it, X's and O's. Maybe there's stuff you don't like, but this idea that Sam Cassell, because he wasn't a head coach, doesn't have experience. To me, he has just as much experience as a Billy Donovan. It's a new, fresh mind with new ideas. I'd rather go that route a million times out of a million.
I agree. I agree. And Sam Cassell, he started his career in '94, beating the Knicks in the finals, hitting some big shots, and got to the finals in '90 and won again with the Rockets the next year. And he's bounced around the league, played in every city pretty much. And like I said, he played for the Nets. I mean, they were in Jersey at the time, but still in this market. He knows how it works here. He's got a big mouth. He can handle the media. He worked his way up through the coaching ranks as an assistant. I've been banging on the drum for Cassell for years, and I don't understand how he hasn't gotten a shot. And I think he'd be one of my top guys that I'd want. And like I'd be okay with Brian as well, but clearly the Knicks don't want him, So I don't know what's going on, man.
Like for an example, I'll give another example. Jordan Ott does not have any NBA head coaches.
Never heard of him before he was hired. Gotta
But
be
I know
honest.
who he is from my Nets days because he was a Nets assistant coach. Think about
Oh,
what he
really?
is.
Okay.
Yeah, think about what he had seen as a Nets assistant. He was there when the Nets were god awful and had nothing. And he started the rebuild and saw through Kenny Atkinson what it's like to build up average players, get the most out of them, and make it to the playoffs. He then saw what it was like to have superstars, manage superstar egos with Durant, Harden, and Kyrie Irving. He then saw what it was like when superstars demand to get out of a situation and be traded. He's there for all of this. He's
Right.
taking a backseat to all of this. So then he saw what it's like when superstars want to leave. And then he's back to managing a team that's average level guys that barely make the playoffs. Point is, Jordan Ott doesn't have head coaching experience, but that guy has seen anything and everything you can imagine at the NBA level that prepares him for Phoenix. And he'll be fine with that. You don't need to have all this extensive head coaching experience to jump in there. Now, if it's going to be, a Greg Popovich level coach, okay, fine. But these guys that they're going for, kid included, aren't much of an upgrade, if at all, from Thibodeau. Now it's a different voice, so maybe that's the upgrade, but that's what you're banking on. It's just strange.
Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And you have the draft coming up on the 25th, which is in 2 weeks from the day that we're recording this on June 11th. And you need a coach before then. I know that 2 weeks it can be an eternity. It's felt like an eternity since they fired Tibbs. And I know the finals are still going on, etc. But like the NBA is packed into a summer. It goes so long, especially when you fire a coach after the Eastern Conference Finals. Like you don't have a lot of time. You got to get a coach in there before the draft. If you don't, the coach is going to have zero power with that organization because clearly you are bringing him in there and saying you have no say and this is who you get and you could be sticking a circle peg into a square hole. Like, you know what I mean? I know I botched the saying, but it's really true because then you're saying like, you know what? Like you have to change your scheme to fit our personnel and not the other way around. I know coaches like Pat Riley can do it going from the Lakers to the Knicks, but that's not what you want from guys like Mike Brown or guys like and anybody out there that you're going to hire because you're just like, all right, you're just here to manage egos and let's see what happens. And that's fine. I mean, like you said, it's not the NFL where like Jeff Saturday takes over the Colts and it's just like it is no shot. You know what I mean? But in the NBA you can do it, but at the same time you have to have some credibility and you have to have respect of the locker room. Like, you know what I mean? Like Ty Lue taking over for the Cavs. It's he got the respect of LeBron, and that was the guy, and everybody fell in line. And LeBron was basically the coach of that team. You know what I'm saying? They won a championship. Steve Kerr comes in. Mark Jackson was driving everybody crazy, and Steve Kerr comes in with the pedigree, has won championships with the Bulls and the Spurs, and was a general manager with the Suns, and he paid his dues, was doing announcing, and they respected his voice and they knew him, and it worked.
Right. That's the thing.
You
That's
know
the
what I'm
biggest
saying?
thing. You need to have somebody that just has the respect.
Right.
From there, it works. Like, I don't think, I don't, I don't think the Knicks are this stupid. There's no way that they're purpose. I think it's in. I think they reached out to Billy Donovan. I think they reached out to Quinn Snyder, knowing they get rejected. I don't know why, but you don't just ask for those guys to be the head coach with the intention of, okay, we'll do the interview and now we're going to hire them. to me, there's a reason they asked. They knew they would get rejected. I don't know what the reason is, but they are not stupid enough to be like, let's see if Quinn Snyder could be our head coach. We'd love to have an interview and we think he could be a right fit. Like something about that doesn't seem right in my gut. And I think there's a reason they're asking and getting rejected on purpose. And maybe it's a ploy so that when they go back to kid, think about me here. You're usually the one with the conspiracies, but seriously,
It's not a conspiracy. I
like,
know where you're going. Yeah.
like then when they go back to kid, it's like, oh, we asked for kid, we asked for Snyder, we asked for Donovan, we asked for Udoka. This isn't just a Knicks kid thing. This is an everything thing. So when they go back and kid eventually does become the head coach, it doesn't look as nasty overall. And I think this is kind of part of their big plan. And eventually kid becomes the coach.
But you know what? There's been teams that have taken coaches from other teams and they've worked out deals. Like, why do you have to cast this fake wide net then to get a guy that you wanted
But why-
to what avoid tampering charges? I mean, there's no tampering charges. It's just that you wanted this guy, like Doc Rivers trade, like the kid trade, like these teams that got coaches. It doesn't make any sense to me.
But the Knicks aren't asking for Quinn Snyder. I mean, come on. Seriously. Like,
They asked permission. I mean, it just makes them look stupid. Like,
Why
why do
would
you want to
they
look
want him as
stupid?
their
Like,
coach?
what? Like, that's the point. Like I said, it just doesn't make any sense. And yeah, like you could say that Leon Rose is outsmarting everybody. He's the smartest guy in the room, and I guess that's what you're saying. I mean, I guess he's pretty smart, and he's hit grand slam after grand slam since year 2, and I get it. You know what I mean? I'm still chill. I'm not panicking yet. I'm concerned. I'm embarrassed by the way the Knicks are handling this. But I want to see what the dust settles before I panic. Like if they do all this just to hire, Johnny Bryant or some dude on their bench, it might be the right move, but it'd be like, well, why did you go through this whole charade then instead of and embarrass the franchise? Just hire the fucking guy.
if I'm Johnny Bryan, I don't want the job at this point.
No.
I think pride takes place. Like, if you wanted me, interview me, let's do this. But
If you wanted me, you don't let me out the door and you fire Tibbs last year. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And just
well,
let
I
me
mean, stuff
step
happens
in.
and things change, but more
Yeah.
of like you're gonna put on this whole dog and pony show, and then you come to me. I think
Right.
I think Johnny Bryant's like, hey man,
And that makes him look bad too. You know
Like,
what I mean? Like he's the
yeah.
third or fifth choice here.
yeah, it's like
you know?
it's like a guy that's like looking for a booty call 2 a.m. and it's like, okay, this girl said no, this girl said okay, hey Johnny, like
It
feels
sounds
like
great. It feels good at the time, but then the next morning you wake up and you regret it. You know what I'm
Yeah, it
saying? You're like,
doesn't
what
feel
was I
right to
doing
me.
last night? Why did I go there?
that. It feels a little bit like that.
yeah,
That's
it does. That's a great
you know
analogy.
what I'm saying. Also, I
Yeah.
do think this. I think this whole idea. I know the roommates podcast is going to come out the same day as ours. I think for the Knicks, this is brilliant PR because they can get their message out through these guys. And
Yeah, but
do
they
it in-
recorded it when they said they were recording it anyway. When I asked if they were
Who knows?
recording it,
By
I
the
mean,
way-
we were recording anyway today. Hey, Alex, I know this tweet went viral and everybody talked about it on WFAN, but we were recording today anyway, Alex. I don't know what you're thinking.
You think-
Okay,
See, I'll be very curious,
sure.
like in the dynamics of it. Are they in? I'm not even kidding here. Are they in the studio? Are they doing this remote? Like,
So you
legit,
think if it's remote that they recorded just because my tweet went viral?
I think there's a better chance if they're in the studio. You don't just be like, let's just, like get the team, turn the lights on, get the camera guy. Like, I think there's a lot more logistics to it. Seriously,
same day, like 2 hours later, like
Right,
you're
you
in the
can't just be
studio.
like,
Yeah.
everybody, come
Even if
to-
it's at his house, you got to have the people there, right? You
right,
got to
you gotta
plan.
get the
Yeah.
people to record it. You gotta get
Yeah.
you gotta get everybody in here. But if it's remote, it's just like me and you sending a link,
Popping
and there's
up the
probably some producer that's making $20 an hour that has to do it.
Yeah, hey, we'll see. I'm not saying I'm that powerful, but that tweet did go viral and everybody talked about it. So, I mean, and Matt Hellman did respond, who follows me, by the way. So it's not like it's that crazy that he saw my post.
Right.
You know, it's not like he just randomly saw some dude post it.
Sure.
Like, he knows who I am. They've DM'd me and asked me to come to their events before, and I couldn't make it. So it's like these things, it's not like I don't have a relationship with them. So it's like he's seen my posts before. It's just hilarious that they that it went so crazy. And all I did was like at 7:30 in the morning, I'm drinking my coffee, about to wake up my son, and it's just like, or whatever time it was, and I just sent that. Like, it's kind of funny how they haven't done the roommates show yet, and it speaks volumes. And
You have to look at last year's. So this might be a good way to figure it out. When
yeah.
last season ended, how long did it take till they did?
But that
the
show
first
is
5 minutes
changing every 5 minutes. They, like
I agree. No, I
that
know,
show
I'm just
changes
saying.
all the time. Podcasts change all the time. It's not like a real professional basketball team here that has a cadence to their schedule. The roommates show can record on a Tuesday, then record
Of course.
and 2 Fridays from then. There's no
Good point.
schedule.
True.
They
True. I'm
said
just
earlier
looking
in the
at it like
playoffs
that.
that they were going to record after every series, and then they lose and they fire the coach, and then they don't record. So I don't want to hear it. I think it's just I think it's nonsense, and I think they were told not to do it, and we know that they censor their show, and it is what it is.
All right, well,
The Garden censors their show.
Well,
So
with that in mind, let me actually play this little soundbite.
so when Mike was in the locker room and he interviewed Josh Hart
Yeah,
and
let's see
Jalen
this.
Brunson on the
Let's see
last day of the regular season, he had some cool clips asking him about me and other things and just fun stuff about the podcast and who their favorite person would be on. And he also asked a clip about that he's going to play in a second once he gets it going. I don't
Yeah,
know.
let me
Your files
know.
here.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
this is Josh Hart when I asked him about if the Knicks ever, have censor
If
or
MSG censors the
block.
roommates podcast, if they ever let them just do whatever they want, kind of a thing.
Hopefully you can hear this.
there topics that you'd want to get into that they wouldn't let you do?
She,
That's a
she
good question.
green lights it. Yeah, exactly.
There's stuff they say, can't do that today.
Always.
So there you go. From the horse's mouth, Josh Hart, they censor the podcast. And people were getting at me like, oh, how do you know? How are you? Because Mike, my best friend and podcast co host, asked Josh Hart, and Josh Hart told him. That's the
By the way,
source, Josh Hart.
my insecurities show up there when I'm like, that's a good question, right, Josh?
Hey, Josh,
give me your
you like
approval.
that?
But yeah, no, I'll be very interested to hear what I think. Like their podcast tomorrow will get more downloads than they've probably ever had. More than when like Ben Stiller comes on and whatever the other Nick fans are.
Do you think if they read my post on their show that they did it also because of my post?
Man, I would,
Because they do like shout out Nick fans a lot and play their
They will
videos.
not be doing that on the next episode.
What?
They will not be doing that on the next episode. I promise.
Which episode? Oh,
Well, they will not be reading out fans this week. I promise.
no, but I mean the post that I know what you're saying, but like the post that I put out there that were about the roommates not recording.
Will
you
they
think that
read
they're
it?
Gonna, yeah, you think that they'll pull that up? You think if they do you think that
I would have a lot of respect for them if they did, because then they can have a sense of humor.
then they can own it? Yeah, own the joke. If somebody makes
own
fun of you, own the joke, and then you own the joke, and then they can't make fun of you anymore. Like, yeah, I am. I do look like an idiot.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah,
Like
what are you
the
gonna
Nick fan that God, I forget his name. You'll probably remember when I was like, "It's a Knicks and Nets podcast," and he's like, "It's a Knicks podcast," but Alex lets you talk Nets.
That
Like,
was
okay, you
my-
got me. That was fun.
My favorite post of all time. I gotta find it. I forgot who said it.
So I have not gotten this done yet, but I'm making T-shirts.
Oh, here it is. Real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
At the real Galamidi, Galamidi. Mike said, well, first he's responded to your post saying, "Great point by Alex, Nets and Knicks podcast." Basically, like I was saying, Gio on WFAN
Said
read
it was a
the
Knicks
post
podcast.
and said it's a Knicks. He does a Knicks podcast, Bad Weather Fan. So Mike said it's a great point by Alex, but it's a Nets and Knicks podcast. And
Asterisk.
at the real Galamidi says, "Poppy, it's a Knicks podcast. Knicks Central is just a nice guy and lets you talk about the Nets from time to time."
It was funny.
So shout out to him.
I'd like trust me. I mean, we'll talk more Nets. It's going to happen soon. Tonight's going to be about the Knicks, but that's okay.
They're getting Cooper Flag though, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, Jason Kidd is.
Touche.
So
So,
where were we going with that? Kind of lost track.
roommates, honestly, what's your thoughts? Do you think the Knicks should hire a coach before the draft?
Yeah, I think if they can, but you don't want to force it. Don't hire somebody just for that reason.
Right.
Got to be the right coach. I
Right.
don't know who that is. I mean, they don't either.
Yeah.
What a wild turn of events. Like
They haven't interviewed anybody yet, though, that we know of, at least.
like by the way, right now, Pacers up 62-60, 25 seconds left in the first half. Could
Great.
you imagine if like this way I'll put it? It's game 3 of the NBA finals. Doesn't it feel like the Knicks were in the playoffs like a lifetime ago?
Yes. And it feels like the Knicks are the biggest story in the NBA.
Oh,
Bigger
they
than
are.
the NBA finals. And I don't know if that's just because of location bias, but it feels that way because I don't think I think the NBA Finals is great basketball for pure basketball fans,
Yeah.
and it's great to watch. It's going to be fun. Maybe as the series goes on, if it goes long to 6 or 7 games, people will get into it. But I don't think there's not a lot of buzz surrounding this final.
I think that, and I think the NBA Finals is the background noise of it's like a fun thing to have on. It's great to see, but the NBA thrives, and this is unfortunately true. Rumors, negativity, speculation. That's what makes the NBA interesting.
There,
And when you have the Knicks, the epicenter of basketball, as
the
the
Mecca. Say it, the Mecca
I
of
will never say
basketball.
I will never say Mecca. If you have if you have I just said it. If you have them as the epicenter of it, like it's good fuel for interest because so many people don't like the Knicks, so that makes it really
Oh yeah,
interesting. So like for example, the NBA finals is going to happen, but how crazy there will be more interest nationally on all the trades that are going to happen. If it's Kevin Durant, if it's, whatever it might be,
Giannis, whatever.
Giannis, which sounds like it's not happening. But the point is, that's going to have so much intrigue, way more than anything the series. That was a great basketball game. Congratulations. Unless something silly happens. That's
Right.
just the way it is.
That
But
I can't argue that.
the
I
Knicks
can't
make
argue.
it majorly more fun because of people want to see them fail. They're starting to look like they're not doing things the
The
right
social
way,
media aspect,
and
the
people are going to jump
memes.
all over it. Like
Yeah.
I don't like the Knicks, but it's not for a lot of
Don't?
the. It's
I'm
not for, but
surprised.
my reasoning for disliking the Knicks is different than I think a lot of like the national perspective. I think mine is very unique to me and a
Like you
negative.
hate them because they were the big brother, or especially in the '90s, growing up in the '90s and dealing with that
But
shit.
it's not like why
No, but
Trey
people don't like them
Wingo is shitting
nationally
on the
because they hate
Knicks.
the city. They hate
Yeah,
the logo. They hate everything. They people think like you say. Knick fans think they're the Yankees and they're not the Yankees. You know what I mean? So it's just
yeah.
I get that. So yeah, I can't argue with that. Anything you just said. So real quick, where do you think Kevin Durant goes? Traded? Obviously, he's getting
Timberwolves,
traded.
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
I think he goes
Okay,
to the West.
not the Spurs. I think the
I think
Spurs
it's
might be in
Minnesota.
play. Minnesota.
That's what
Okay.
my
So
sources
Julius
are telling
Randle
me.
for Julius Randle. You think?
I don't know. I just think I think he goes West. I don't think he goes
Rudy
to the
Gobert.
Knicks. I don't
Suns are
know.
gonna get Rudy Gobert back for
I
Kevin
mean, if the
Durant.
Knicks all of a sudden are dealing for Durant, then you're like,
Ugh.
well, they
I
are in
don't.
full.
No, thank you. Kevin Durant. Hell to the no. I do
I
not
do
like
think
Kevin
he'd be
Durant.
an upgrade over Cat if
Yeah,
it's
but
a
then
one on
what is
one
your
swap.
team? I don't know. It's just you have
I mean,
no.
like you get into the playoffs, and he's your number two. I feel better about that, but it just reeks of desperation.
It does. And now we're Giannis. What do you think happens with him?
I think he stays in Milwaukee and then he leaves after next year.
Okay, that's fair. But also, I do
My Buck
think,
source has told me that.
yeah,
Mhm.
got it. I do think that, and you do have one, so that's not Mike just making jokes.
I don't have him.
No, you do. No, but I do think that this Giannis stuff might come to a head. Like Windhorst and other reporters are saying that like later in the summer something might happen. I feel like this is playing out exactly like Donovan Mitchell, where he's saying they want to stay, he's going to stay, he wants to stay, they're going to retool around him, et cetera, et cetera. And summer goes on, summer goes on, summer goes on. You know what I mean? And then 25th hour trade is done. You know what I mean? And he's gone. But he never wanted to go, and he's trying to say all the right
Yeah.
things so he doesn't
Well,
piss off the fan base.
at this point in
I
the
don't know.
NBA, if you're taking anything at face value, like you can't.
No.
Things happen all the time. And I'm pulling up a tweet from Mr. Antetokounmpo, but he said this, which I thought this tweet actually was more telling that he's not on the move than anything else. He wrote, this is from Giannis at 2:47 p.m. Eastern today. He said, "Does anyone else miss Woj?" And he's just having fun on social media now, like purposely trying to get people upset and be like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
why
because
would
he's
he
a
say
giant
that?"
troll. Yeah,
Like that
he's a
to
big
me is a
goofball.
troll that I'm probably not going anywhere. Like, why would you say that?
And maybe he just doesn't like Shams. I don't know.
I don't think he cares. This is all because you traded for Mikal Bridges.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. It's just funny because these teams think they have a choice of where these players go. Giannis says, "I want to go here." They're going. He's going there. It's not like you're not gonna be like Giannis. Giannis goes, "I want to be traded to the Knicks." He'd be like, "Well, too bad. We're trading you to Portland." Like, you know what I mean? It's just like it's not gonna happen because these players have so much power. Because Giannis can just go to Portland and be like, "I'm not playing." now, like Portland traded everything for him, and now he's worth nothing. So it's just it's silly that people think that they have power.
Which I think goes back to something I said before when you were like, "Oh, Knicks can get Giannis." Well, maybe Giannis doesn't want to be on the Knicks.
Well, that's everything, of course. Knicks can get Giannis. You got to trade Towns and Mikal or Towns and Mitch or Towns and it's got to be Towns plus, yeah.
It's a 3-team trade, and I'll say
it's got to be.
The people don't realize this, but why would the Bucks in a rebuild mode want to get Karl Anthony Towns on their team and just be a shittier version of what they are now, and then have that contract on the books? Like,
and it's not even your guy that you developed, won a championship with.
God.
It's just Towns. Yeah, no, it's not a video game.
You want a million draft picks and young players.
Right. So that's why you have to get another team involved, like a team that would want to take Towns that has, I don't know, who knows?
Magic maybe, or
Yeah, well, Magic getting Towns. That's really interesting because they have some players they want to deal, right? Like Cole Anthony and some guys. And
you give away a boatload of draft picks, and you're like, okay,
that makes sense.
Makes more sense.
Well,
go to Detroit, for example.
Right.
Not
no. We got to send Towns west. You can't send Towns and make another team in the East better. I mean, but if you get Giannis, like, who gives a shit, honestly? But so I don't know what I'm saying.
The Knicks,
but
it's like the Knicks next year. Man, I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's very weird for a team to be 2 wins away from the NBA Finals and feel like they didn't make it that far,
which is crazy. And that's what. So I think the NBA quote unquote media overreacted to them firing Tibbs tremendously. I think a lot of coaches
get. What do you mean the
media, as in the talk shows, the talking heads, the Mad Dogs, the Stephen A's, WFAN, ESPN Radio, Fox Sports News, the people who talk on TV, Nick Wrights, those kind of guys. I think those are the kinds of guys who overreacted to Tibbs firing, saying it's the worst move ever, this, that, and the other thing. It was shocking, for sure. But this stuff happens. Mike Malone got fired in the last 2 weeks of the season. The guy on the Grizzlies got fired in the middle of the year also. I forgot his name, Taylor Jenkins, right? And like this happens all the time. Kevin McHale fired after going to the Western Conference Finals. Whatever. We went through this last episode. That happens. Okay, so calm down. I think they're not overreacting to this weird, wide, quote unquote, wide net the Knicks are casting. I think it makes the Knicks look ridiculous. I think that they're just reporting the news and being like, what's going on? I don't think that's clickbait. I don't think anything like that. I think the Tibbs craziness and reacting to that, the firing, was clickbait. But this is not clickbait at all.
Yeah.
That's why. And for me, I'm always willing to call out the clickbait. I think this is clickbait and stuff like that.
Here. It's just silly. It's
just like, what? Billy Donovan, Quinn Snyder.
But Alex, that's why I said to you before, this seems calculated. Like they want the report out.
You sound like Dolan J. Trump. You sound like Dolan J. Trump in my DMs.
It doesn't make sense that you could be that stupid. I'm sorry.
So gun to your head, Knicks coach is Jason Kidd.
If gun to my head, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still going to be Kidd. I think you're right. I think Dolan J. Trump's right in my DMs. I think that this is all a facade to avoid tampering charges, and it's going to be Jason Kidd.
Now, if it isn't him, who is it? There's no answer. Like
if it isn't him and you went through all this and you don't at least interview Mike Malone, I think that's malpractice.
You gotta interview him, right? But you want to interview, because that's what I'm saying. Like, you want to interview Billy Donovan and Quinn Snyder, but not Mike Malone. This is all smoke and mirrors, man.
But it's Tibbs 2.0. Tibbs 2.0.
All these guys are Tibbs 2.0. Then Quinn Snyder's
Jason Kidd is Tibbs 2.0.
1.5. I'm telling you, man,
it's stupid. It's these brainwashed Knicks fans are getting in my head, and it's getting really annoying.
I didn't have this thought before we started, but the more I think about it, I'm like, they are doing this on purpose. For what reason? I don't know. Is it? I know the reason. It's to get Jason Kidd. Now, I don't know the full circumstance of it, but I think there's something like ask about these other coaches. They were like, hey, can you find guys that are in the same mold as Tibbs that are veteran coaches, a little bit disciplinarians, like, and go out and ask. And those were the names they came up with. The Knicks aren't stupid enough to just be like, we're going to randomly ask these teams. They're going to circle back to Kid and they want to do all this. So, for whatever reason, it just doesn't look as bad in the long run with the tampering idea. And I believe that. And maybe because of what happened with Jalen Brunson, maybe because of all that other stuff that played in their mind. But I think eventually Kid's the head coach, and this is all just part of their grand scheme to get there.
Yeah, and to remember with the Jalen Brunson tampering charges, they were really stupid about it when Allen Houston and I forgot who else went with him went to a Mavericks Jazz playoff game, and we all thought that they were scouting Donovan Mitchell, quote unquote, scouting Donovan Mitchell, like you need to do that. Meanwhile, they were tampering with Jalen Brunson, which you didn't even have to do that either because Leon Rose is Jalen Brunson's godfather.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? But so, like, you were just so obvious about it for no reason. So you got charged a draft pick for no reason. So maybe now they're trying to be extra cautious because the eyes are on them, and the Knicks are always getting investigated, and the Knicks call everybody out, and they're suing the Raptors. And remember, there was the investigation to the Knicks because they had Rick Brunson on the staff about, you know what I mean, during the year, and the Knicks shot it down. Like, what are we doing? He's an assistant coach. Like, who cares? You know. So I think that there's something to that. So we'll see. And every Knicks reporter has not said Jason Kidd is out of the running. They said that he's been denied, but it still can happen. Not just Ian Begley, Bondi said it, Popper said it. All these reporters are still saying that Jason Kidd still could be the Knicks coach.
Let me read you, Alex, the list of NBA head coaches. You tell me if the Knicks reach out or not. Quinn Snyder, we did. This is in alphabetical order.
Ooh,
Joe Mazzulla, Celtics.
no.
Jordy Fernandez, Nets.
Yes.
All right. Charles Lee, Hornets.
No.
Billy Donovan, Bulls, they did. Kenny Atkinson, Cavs.
Yes.
It's up their alley. Jason Kidd, Mavs.
Yes.
David Adelman, Nuggets. Just got the job.
Yeah, imagine he won a round in the playoffs, right? Sure. Yes.
JB Bickerstaff, Detroit.
Yes.
Steve Kerr, Golden State.
Yes. Actually, no. I'm going to say no to Steve Kerr because Dolan is petty, and he is probably pissed at the way that Kerr treated the Knicks when he was taking the job and then dismissed them and went to the Warriors.
Well, do you think
he's out?
Would that have any impact on Durant?
Yes.
Picking the Nets?
Yes. I do. I think Dolan is that petty. And yes, he's the owner and he's not involved. Yes, he's not involved like the old Dolan was in the early 2000s, but he's still the owner of the team. He's still the owner of the team, and he has a say in the coach and a star player being traded for.
Udoka Rockets, yes.
Yes.
Carlisle Pacers.
No, because I think Carlisle's a dick.
They reach out during the finals.
Yeah.
Ty Lue Clippers.
Yes.
JJ Redick Lakers.
No.
Grizzlies. I did not know their coach.
No, because he's a new coach.
Tumas. I don't know. How
Whatever. Shout out to him. No.
Heat Spoelstra.
Yes.
Buck Stock Rivers to get Giannis.
No, because I think Giannis is leaving him.
Chris Finch, T-Wolves, yes.
Yes, they did already.
Willie Green, Pelicans.
No.
Thunder, no. I just lost the thread.
Who's
Magic?
left?
Jamal Mosley.
Sure.
Nick Nurse, Sixers.
No, I don't think they like the Sixers.
Jordan Ott, no. But maybe he's been there for a week. Chauncey Billups.
Yes, ex-Nick. Once a Nick, always a Nick.
It's a great one. Doug Christie, Kings.
Yes, ex-Nick. Once a Nick, always a Nick. Yes.
Mitch Johnson, Spurs.
Who's that? Spurs? No.
Raptors, Darko Rajadovic.
No.
Will Hardy, Jazz.
No.
Brian Keefe, Wizards. Another former Nets assistant. There are a lot of Nets assistants.
Is he? I never heard of that guy.
When I was a kid, I could tell you every NBA coach from like 1998. My knowledge of that is terrible.
Well, you know what? Coaches change so quick, so much now. It's so hard to keep track.
Yeah.
It's like arena names. They're always changing. You know what I mean? I used to know every arena. I don't know shit anymore.
I know.
Anyway.
What a good. And the Nets. We'll wait. but it'll be fun. Let's say this about the Nets. It's going to be very busy. They are going to be very busy helping teams, drafting players, not winning games. Oh, it's going to be a great couple of months, but it'll be fun. I mean, they're actually good or bad. At least they'll be, doing something. So we'll see.
Yeah, and at the very least, you have a team of young players that are a lot of first round draft picks on the roster, and you can have some fun rooting for them. You'll see what happens.
Let me ask you an honest question.
Yes.
Would you take the Nets head coach at this point?
Yeah.
I said that's an option.
Of course. Guys proved themselves already? Of course. You want a second round pick? You want Mikal back? We'll give you Mikal Bridges for Jordy Fernandez.
Would you do
How's
that
that trade? Yeah.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Clip that.
Go ahead. Do that. I don't care.
You would do Mikal for Jordy?
Sure.
Seriously.
How about Huck Porty? We'll give you Huck Porty.
No, I'm being serious. Would you really do that?
Probably not. Probably.
Okay.
Probably not. Probably not. Probably not.
Oh, man.
I didn't think about it. I answered without thinking.
Well,
Probably
doesn't
not.
matter. We're clipping that.
Yeah, we're doing that. Yeah.
All right, bad weather fans, 269. What will 270 bring us?
A new coach?
No.
An NBA champion? Maybe.
Well, I'm just glad you're, off your Giannis pogo stick.
Oh, I could be right about Pacers in 6, though. I still could be right.
I hope you are.
Yeah.
Bad weather fans, 269. Enjoy everybody.
69.
That never gets old.
Nope.
I mean,
But who actually does that?
I was
anyway?
about to ask. Like, do people really 69 these days?
Maybe when you're young. All right, let's end this.
It's just trouble. Just trouble.